happening, perfectionists? My name is Russell Holiday. This is the Nothing is Perfect podcast, episode 5. We've been sitting around trying to get this thing started, and we are going in a little bit late today because it's like trying to drink out of a fire hose with everything that's happening in the NHL today. We probably won't even have time to get anything done except for talking about the Vancouver Canucks and all their crazy stuff, even some AHL stuff for them too. But once again, I'd like to introduce one half of the Rusty and Dusty Sideshow here on Nothing is Perfect. It is Dustin Boydell. What's up, my dude?
What is going on, sir? Holy moly, what a week. Yep. A little bit to go over. Obviously, we had the live draft show where we saw the first round take place and saw the Canucks select Caleb Malhotra, 3rd overall, and Adam Novotny in that 24th spot. But we haven't had a chance to talk about round 2 through 6. And we haven't had a chance to really break down any of these prospects either. So it's exciting to have had a chance to look into their games a little bit, see some of their highlight reels, get to know them a little better. Clearly, there is a distinct type of player and character that Ryan Johnson is looking to build the new culture around. And that clearly involves size with the ability to skate and the ability to be a leader. So pretty much right down the board who they went after this entire draft.
Yeah. But I think, yeah, we're going to break down the draft picks for you. I had the pleasure of stopping down at the Rogers Forum today. They had day 2 of the Canucks Dev Camp happening down there. So that was lots of fun. We'll talk a little bit about what I saw down there. And then, like I said, man, the amount of Canucks transactions that have been happening, lots of stuff happening. But one of the most important transactions I think we can both agree on is the brand new Abby Canucks. Here's Johnny. They finally get a mascot.
Finally.
Yeah. No, I mean, he made his debut on Global News. It looks exactly like the mascot or the mascot that you would want. It looks like the symbol from their jersey. So people were wondering, are we going to get a lumberjack for the Abby Canucks? Because, well, you can't do that because the lumberjack is also the mascot for the Vancouver Giants. But they didn't give a crap, and they've done it. So he's made his debut. He was in the Canada Day Parade in Abbotsford today, so that was lots of fun too. So very happy for the kids. But I thought I'd put that in because I am going to try and get him on the show at some point. Maybe we can get him and Finn on the show. But yeah, Johnny is now.
I bet it'd be a riveting interview.
But the main thing we actually want to start off with is the Canucks draft. So we were live during the, like you said, Caleb Malhotra getting drafted 3rd overall, Adam Novotny. Let's just quickly revisit Caleb Malhotra. Now that we've had some time to digest everything that has happened, what do you have to say about Manny Malhotra's kid?
I mean, everything that we heard about him, from all the interviews he's done, from the way he's conducted himself, very well-spoken young man, very mature young man at just turning 18 years of age on June 2nd, a month ago. So, you know, when you look back at what he did in the OHL and the playoffs, you forget that he was only 17 years old. And I think what stood out most to me after the draft, like, I know a lot of fans are still divided about this and the fact that we drafted, a coach's kid and blah, blah, blah. But Caleb was 3rd on a lot of draft boards before Manny was even brought on board as the head coach. So there was a chance he may have been coaching him anyways in Abbotsford, right? So what stood out to me was the way the Bulldogs GM spoke about Caleb Malhotra and said, without a doubt, their best player all year, all playoffs. They would not have gotten nearly as far without him. He's a leader on and off the ice in the dressing room. Said he's a very smart kid, professional. when you look at the pedigree and his family that he has around him, I mean, his mother played high level soccer. His uncle Martin Nash played very high level soccer, and then of course his other uncle Steve Nash was NBA MVP and NBA champion. So some
he
pretty
never won a
impressive.
championship.
Or he never won the championship, but NBA MVP.
Yeah, twice.
Close to a championship on one of the super teams there at the late in the career, but never got over the hump. Unfortunately, I still think of him as a champion because probably up until now there are some Canadian stars emerging, but the best Canadian basketball player,
by far,
ever
and
in
he
the
almost
NBA,
carried
without a doubt.
Canada through the Olympic tournament too. So that was
Exactly.
a Canadian team that had no business competing at all, but obviously they ended up winning the gold. But yeah, he was definitely great at the Olympics as well for Canada.
Yeah, and hearing Caleb talk about whenever they were around, it's always highly competitive. So he learned at a young age that how to lose and how to learn to win and how to work hard to win. And I think everything that he's done so far has been great. He's dealt with the media very well. Today, I think it was, there was a mistake made by, I think, Jay Janauer asking him, does he think he can make the team out of camp? And he's already committed to Boston University. So the second he takes a class, he can no longer attend camp. And also, he hasn't signed his entry-level contract, so invitees aren't allowed anymore. So the plan is for him to go to Boston University. If he lights it up there and he signs his contract, then that's a different story. But for now, he's just property of the Vancouver Canucks, which I'm fine with because we're pretty flush with young centers right now that we need to see what we have before we promote Caleb. And I think it's a good path for him going forward. I know there's the people that are like, oh, Manny's not even going to be here in a couple years, so it's not an issue. And man, it just, what has been revealing to me is how many people don't follow what's going on in Abbotsford and don't take in the Abbotsford Canucks enough. Boy, there are going to be a lot of fans that are pleasantly surprised, and also a lot of fans that are eating crow, because there's been a lot of things put out there in the digital world that you can't take back, because there will be screenshots and things. And I'm just excited to continue forward with this offseason. I know there's been impatience coming from the media.
Dustin Boydell in like 6 months. I told you so. I told you so. I told you. And if you don't want to have Dustin slapping you in the face with an "I told you so," and I'll probably throw a couple out there too, make sure you subscribe to the channel. Make sure you hit the like button wherever you're listening, because this is where you will be able to inform yourself about what is happening in Abbotsford, because nothing is perfect. Dustin is our expert on the Abbey Canucks. He keeps a close eye on them. I have now signed up for Flow Hockey because I can't help myself, so I watch every game. So if you want to know what's going on in Abbotsford, especially in a day and age right now where there's going to be a lot of young guys playing down there, it's going to be a lot of fun watching those guys develop under a coach that we haven't figured out who it's going to be yet.
Yeah. So just very excited for both Malhotra in Manny as a dad. Very exciting to see a son drafted by an organization you have such fond memories with and a tight relationship with. So good on that side. And then I'm also excited to see what he can do at NCAA, because later in the draft, don't want to skip too far ahead, but a couple draft picks later, they selected Nicholas Arum Olsen from Norway, who will also be attending Boston University, which is great to have two young prospects that are going to be playing together in the same NCAA organization. They can create some chemistry together down there and maybe carry that forward into entry-level contracts. And then who knows from then on when they might make their Canucks debut. But just good, tidy drafting by the Canucks scouts this year.
Yeah. I've got the stats for Arum Olsen up on the screen there. He played in the junior league, in the Swedish junior league. He did get 16 games up playing in the senior league. One thing we always like to point out is that when you're talking about the Swedish Junior League versus the Swedish Senior League, it's not the same as playing in the OHL, it's probably more similar to the NCAA than it is to the juniors. It's not a development league. So unless you're going to be ready to produce, he didn't get a lot of time to play. So he didn't get any points playing in the senior league, but when he was playing in the junior league last year, 29 games, he had 40 points, 20 goals, 20 assists. So Nicholas Aram Olsen, another 6'1", 183-pound player that the Canucks drafted this year. They got him with the 41st pick overall, which they got in the San Jose Sharks transaction for Mr. Kiefer Sherwood. So thank you very much, San Jose Sharks. You don't need any more prospects, so thank you for that one. Let's hop back over Adam Novotny. It's funny because one of the initial comparisons that I saw for Adam Novotny, he's a guy 6'1", 205 pounds. He's got a thick frame. People say that he reminds them a lot of Liam Ogren. So this is the pick the Canucks got from the Minnesota Wild in the Quinn Hughes trade. So you can now essentially look at it as Marco Rossi, Zeev Buium, Liam Ogren, and Adam Novotny. That is the package they got back. And if you're telling me that Quinn Hughes might not be signing back, Bill Guerin seemed to squirm a little bit the other day. Yeah, right? He was squirming. He's like, we had an initial conversation. A little,
no talks.
If Quinn Hughes does not sign with Minnesota, the Canucks have won this trade. I'm saying that right now. Obviously, young guys, so we'll have to wait and see. But 4 first-round picks essentially coming back to the Canucks. Adam Novotny from Czechia. Dustin, what have you read about him? What are your vibes on this guy who played for the Peterborough Petes last year in the OHL?
From everything I've heard, he's incredible on his skates. Big guy, got a good motor. He played for a team that wasn't that great, so didn't show a lot of flash. Dropped drastically in the draft rankings. A lot of draft boards had him, 12 to 18, and he dropped all the way to the Canucks at 24. So I was ecstatic to see him down there. And I think a lot of that was because there were question marks about, was he a 34 goal scorer only at the junior level, or can it translate to the professional level? There may have been some question marks about his defensive play, but I think when you see the character and the willingness to be coached and the willingness to learn, and you get down to the fact that the Canucks scouts did their homework with their interviews and they knew exactly who they wanted. They were surprised that Novotny was there, but the fact he was there, they were taking him. And I'm excited to see what they could do with him. But big guy, good on his feet, and offensive upside. So everything I've read in his scouting reports is all positive things. I think he may end up being kind of a dark horse steal in the first round. The fact that he dropped all the way to 24. I think there might be some teams. This might be one of those situations where the Canucks got lucky for a change. We always look back at previous drafts and go, oh man, if we didn't pick Ulevy, we could have had Matthew Tkachuk, or if we didn't pick this person, we could have had Cole Caulfield or things like that, or didn't trade away that draft pick, we could have had Cole Caulfield. And so maybe this is our one, right? Where there's a couple teams ahead of us that are probably regretting not taking this guy and might regret it in the future. He was already excited to meet Phil Hronik and get talking with him more because he can look up to him as a leader, fellow countryman. So I think it was a very smart pick, and I'm excited to see this kid a little more closely because I don't know. I haven't really seen him play. All I've seen are highlight packages, and I'm pretty pleased with what I've seen so far.
Yeah. Another, like you said, off the bat, the theme of the draft for the Vancouver Canucks is size, and it doesn't get much bigger other than the 7'1" guy that got drafted. Then Mr. Brooks Rogowski, he is 6'7". He's 235 pounds. And until like 2 years ago, he was also playing baseball. He has only been playing hockey as his only sport for about 2 years. Last year, he was playing with the Oshawa Generals. That's 2 seasons in a row. He got up to 42 points with them, 15 goals, 27 assists. He was a minus 24, but he did end up being the first pick of the second round, 33rd overall for the Vancouver Canucks. What have you heard? What have you seen? What did the highlight package tell you, Dustin?
I mean, he's 6'7", but he skates like he's 5'9". Like this kid is good on his feet for a big boy, and that's not something you see very often. Do you need a 6'7" center? Not really. Will you take one that can move like he does? Absolutely. I was shocked to see them be able to take him. I thought he might go late in the first round. But again, a big right-handed center, which is nice to have in your lineup, especially in the bottom two there. If you're looking at this guy maybe as a third line center, he's a big body, hits hard, finishes his checks, can skate well, has offensive upside because he does have some pretty good mitts on him too. He's one of those modern enforcer types, right? Like where you got some big imposing figure, but he can still put the puck in the back of the net. So he has some talent. Definitely much better skating skill than the 7'1" prospect down in San Jose. But my goodness, could you imagine him on a line with Vilmer Ulrichsen? Yeah. Just the two of them lining up against you? That'd be intimidating.
I already dreamed about it last night.
There you go.
Yeah. So Brooks Rogowski. Yeah. And I think the thing I like about him is it's one of those times where everyone's like, oh, the Canucks need to take a risk. They need to take a risk. This is a risk. Comes from a family. His uncle, I guess, and his dad both played MLB, very high level athletes. So it does run in the family. And like we talked about, the frame is crazy. So it's now that he's completely focused on being a hockey player, his development curve is probably going to be a little bit slower than some of the other guys that have been taken. He has already said he's going back to the Oshawa Generals. And then the year after that, he's committed to go down and play in the NCAA as well. So that is at least 2 years more of development there. And then at that point, he will be about 20 years old. Maybe at that point, he starts to get a look at the AHL if he's ready to take that step to play some professional hockey. But it's not someone that you can expect to see in the lineup anytime soon, barring some kind of, last year level
miracle development.
Right. Miracle development / catastrophe on the Canucks. And with the way things are, I'm just going to knock on wood right now for the catastrophe part because we are Canucks fans. But yeah, Rogowski, big boy. And it was kind of fun hearing his interview. They were asking about his baseball game too. So maybe if Vancouver gets their MLB team, he'll be there to throw out the opening pitch one of these days once they build the stadium down there. So Nicholas Aram also, he was the next one that went in, 41. With the one we got from San Jose, we already kind of covered him. Pure shooter's got that absolute rocket of a shot. So that's good to see. Took a bit of a flyer. This one probably's got Ian Clark's mitts all over it. He's their goaltending. What do they even call him now? He's like their director of goaltending or something like that.
Yeah, something like that. A consultant.
Yeah. So it's funny because Todd Harvey, the head of scouting for the Canucks, was not even able to go and scout this guy. So this is reliant completely on Ian Clark because he is a Russian guy. He's Dmitry Ivchenko. I butchered that a couple times. But his stats have been really, really good. He's playing really, really well over there. He was 11-5-1 playing over in Russia. He has a .922 save percentage. He had 4 shutouts this year playing in the Russian MHL. So very good stats. A pretty big boy too, 6'3", 179 pounds. A bit of a slender guy, but that's not a bad thing when it comes to your goaltenders. Was not able to get a visa to come over play at the development camp, which we'll talk a little bit about after we're done running through these. But by the sounds of it, Ian Clark's a huge fan, and if the Canucks drafted him here in this third round, they're 1 third-round pick. They must see something in him moving forward.
Well, when Ian Clark gets excited about a goaltender, I tend to get excited about a goaltender. We've all seen what Thatcher Demko can do, and he was a big Ian Clark push for the Canucks to pick him up. Um, you know, Evchenko is his scouting report is that he's super disciplined. He's always square to the shooter. Um, you know, he's got a great glove save, good hand-eye coordination. The one thing is that he needs to read the play a little better, but that's something you can learn. That's something you can be taught. Um, his reflexes and everything like that sounds like are very, very strong. And so with some good development and hopefully some time over in North America, the Canucks can get their hands on him and develop him into maybe a good solid tandem goalie or maybe even a potential, you know, maybe they go double Russians in the crease and have a Medvedev Evchenko 1-2 punch in 3 or 4 years here.
I heard he is supposed to be coming over to play in the NCAA as well, so that hopefully we'll be able to sort out those visa issues, and who knows, maybe he'll stay over here for his development. But it'll be good to see kind of what he can accomplish moving forward, playing some college hockey in the States. Surprisingly, Brizgalov, who was drafted 97th in the 4th round by the Canucks, is not the goalie they took. And he does not have any relation to the Brizgalov that we all know and love. We actually saw a little bit of him last year.
Good old Ilya Brizgalov.
Something about a bear. I don't remember the quote. I'm scared of a bear.
I know. I'm not scared of penguin. I'm from Russia. I'm scared of bears.
So Brizgalov, Yaroslav Brizgalov, we saw a little bit of him last year. The Medicine Hat Tigers playing against the Prince Albert Raiders. We were following along with Braden Coots, so we did see Brizgalov a little bit. He is a left winger. He is another big body, 6'3", 216 pounds. And get this, when they were asked about him and what one of his best qualities is, they just said flexible. And then the video clip is of him doing full splits. As not even a goaltender, this dude can do full splits. He's 6'3", 216 pounds. Like, that's some crazy stuff. So another big body who I believe is going back to play in the WHL again, another year with the Medicine Hat Tigers. So a Belarusian as we run through.
And he was a re-entry.
Yeah.
He was a re-entry into the draft this year. So he did make himself eligible last year, but was not drafted. Went back into the draft this year, but also had a much better year with the Medicine Hat Tigers this year, putting up 55 points this season. And his passing apparently improved incredibly over the offseason. And with his size and his forechecking, he has the makeups of a great bottom six forward for depth and size and wearing down those top lines. He's exactly that type of guy. And that seems to be what the MO was for Ryan Johnson and company at the draft, was to get bigger, to get faster, and to get harder to play against. And all of these guys too, they all have something about their character in their prospect profiles about how they're great. Obviously, Evchenko doesn't really have much about that because no one's really interviewed the kid or talked to the kid. But everyone else they've went after in this draft are all character guys that have leadership and play the right way and everything in their breakdowns. So it's really exciting to see us moving away from that 5'9" speed over some size, where we're finding a balance in a lot of these new prospects, and restocking the cupboard with some depth, because we do have some skill already from leftover from the previous regime's draft. And just another great pick here late in the draft. Just exciting stuff.
So I don't know how this individual ended up falling this far in the draft. 129th overall in the 5th round. Connor McDavis. Oh no, sorry, it's Connor Davis getting drafted by the Canucks. He's a right shooting player. Plays on the right wing. Comes from the Cedar Rapids Rough Riders of the USHL. Last year had 55 points in 59 games, 26 goals, 29 assists. He is 6 foot, 188 pounds, so he is a thick boy at 6 foot. That is nothing to snuff at there. Connor Davis, what have you heard about this individual who will be playing in the University of North Dakota next year?
Well, here's from his prospect profile off of the draft guide from 2026. Davis's motor can't be beat. He's always in motion, working quick passing plays, skating hard to the net, and winning races off the wall. Though not the smoothest skater, he flashes a separate gear. Supplementing the pace is the physicality. He's constantly lining up opponents for hits on the forecheck and backcheck, but doesn't overextend. So he reads the play well. So his hockey IQ is high. He racks up the steals most nights, combining pressure and physicality with precise stick work. So, again, the motor. 55 points with the Cedar Rapids Rough Riders last year in the USHL. 26 goals, 29 assists. So we'll see what he can do at the NCAA level, but very excited. I believe he's committed to North Dakota now.
Yeah.
And earned that through his play this year in the USHL. So
yeah, we got our French guy from Quebec.
Yeah, there you go.
You always got to have one French guy. I believe. What is it like? In the last 20 something years, there's been like 95% of the teams had a French guy on it. So you got to make sure you got a French guy to win the cup.
Yappy Lappy. We had one in 2011, almost got there. God, I love Max. He's become really good to listen to too, for hockey analysis.
Yep.
Analysis? Is that a word? It's got to be a word. I don't know.
Hockey analysis.
He's a really great hockey analyst. I don't think analysm's a word. It's just a weird
copyright. Dustin Boydell, 2026 analysis.
Yep. Anyways.
Continuing our laps around the world, because now we're moving on to Finland with the Canucks 6th round pick, 176 overall. They get Lucien Bernat, is another right wing player. He's got a right-handed shot, 6'4", 198 pounds. The trend continues. Not as much available on this individual who is going later in the draft. Did you manage to drag anything out of the internet to talk about on Mr. Bernat?
Well, because your boy invests in his work, we have all the prospect profiles on these guys. So shoot first winger with solid physical tools and size to boot. Can he build on top of the power forward flashes he saw at the U18s? Actually played for Slovakia at the U18s this year. Mm-hmm. So must be a dual citizen player because he has Finland, Tapara U20, I think is the league he played in.
Yes.
But I think he's of Slovakian descent. So 31 points in the Finnish league, the Finnish U20 league. 4 points at the World Juniors U18s. So some international stuff. He's a shoot first mindset guy. He actively hunts down opportunities to funnel pucks towards the net and cut inside in search of off puck opportunities. So, guy who gets to the middle, which is nice. He was regularly used on the half wall on the power play, occasionally able to beat goalies from long ranges with powerful releases. So it sounds like he's got a heck of a shot. He's 6'4", so another big boy. Man, we're gonna have a big team in a couple of years. And are going to be imposing to play against. That's for darn sure. If any of these guys play out, we're going to have some size for sure.
And then the last pick, they finally, after drafting 2 centers, 3 left wings, a goalie, and 2 right wingers, they finally draft a defenseman in one, Samuel Eriksson. They have already announced he has been signed to a 6-year contract at $6 million per year. Unfortunately, he's already scored on his own net. So it's a bit of a rough start for. Oh no, wait, sorry, I got my notes. Samuel Eriksson, not Louis Eriksson. It's Samuel Eriksson, a left wing. Sorry, a defenseman, shoots left. 6'5", 210 pounds, playing in Sweden last year. Another big body coming in the lineup, and this will be the last pick too, because the Canucks actually ended up trading their other pick away for a pick next year and moved up from the 6th round to the 5th round, I believe it was.
Yes. Yep.
Yeah.
But yeah, so apparently he has an outrageous wingspan. So he can stick check from a mile away. Um, it's his colossal frame that plays the main role in his potential to be an NHL defenseman. He will probably take much longer time to develop if he can continue to improve his skating and puck handling. Then he maybe has a chance at a 6 or 7 type role, but likely not a player we ever see at the NHL level, so deep in the draft. But again, you never know when these players get selected, and if you have the right organization behind you and you suddenly have the right tools for your development, anything is possible. By all sounds, they went after kids that have the right attitude and want to push themselves to make it. So I'm excited to see where this draft class ends up. Obviously, we had the sad reports of the right before the draft. You have all the things coming out like 2020 and 2021, like no one's played in the NHL, and well, at least now one will play in the NHL. However, it will likely be with the Philadelphia Flyers, not with the Vancouver Canucks, and one Daniil Klimovich. What a shock that was. But all the best to him going back to a Talkit system after he couldn't crack a Talkit lineup.
That's so funny. Yeah, the Canucks released a statement on Twitter about all the players they will not be qualifying, all their RFAs. As you mentioned, Daniil Klimovich did not get qualified, signed today in Philadelphia. Neil Zaman, who was an AI, told us a couple years ago that he was the most beautiful guy in the NHL at some point. Jaden Grube, who they got in a trade last year. I can't remember who they got. Who did they trade for Jaden Gruber again? It's one of those AHL deals that I think it even happened like after the trade deadline because it was an AHL trade. P.O. Joseph.
Yeah.
Poor P.O. Joseph not re-signing with the Canucks. And one that I think even more than any of these names that fell on this list to me was Chase Stillman not getting a qualifying offer from the Canucks. I'm a little surprised, despite the fact that he broke his leg last year, had a tough start to the year. Did seem to play pretty well coming back after the injury, but maybe just didn't fit into the plan.
Yeah, I think just maybe there was some character stuff there. I don't know. I've heard some things from way back when he was in junior and stuff like that. Just could have been part of not fitting, the vision of what Ryan Johnson has going forward. And maybe that played into it. I'm sure he conferred with Rich Seeley about it prior to the decision. But also there are some guys that had really great years at the junior level that could probably make the jump now for the Canucks in the prospect pool that are unsigned. So they're going to want to have some spots open for those guys.
Yeah, so that's the run through the Vancouver Canucks draft. They ended up getting, as we just recap it for you, Caleb Malhotra, Adam Novotny, Brooks Rogowski, Nicholas Aram Olsen, Dmitry Avchenko, Yaroslav Brizgalov, Connor Davis, Lucian Bernat, and Samuel Eriksson. So we ended up getting a Canadian, a Czech, an American, a Norwegian, a Russian, a Belarusian, another Canadian, a Slovakian, and a Swede. So out of the, what is this? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 picks they ended up taking. They drafted from 8 different countries, which is incredible diversity. And they waited to draft the Swede until the very last pick, so Canucks Twitter wouldn't freak out that they were only selecting Swedes. So a lot of these guys obviously are immediately jumping on a plane after all their draft interviews and flying out because the Canucks announced that they will be holding their development camp out in Abbotsford, which is great. So that put it within my range. So I was actually able to go down to the arena today. I was live on the Nothing is Perfect YouTube channel. You can go rewatch it. I've got highlights of the entire day, both groups. Split them up into 2 different groups. Ended up being a collection of players that they've had drafted over the last few years. Aram Olsen was there. Bernat was there. Who else? All the draft picks. The only one, like I mentioned, that wasn't able to make it was the goaltender. Wasn't able to get the visa processed. Things are happening in Russia, I guess, right now. Don't need to get into that. But you did end up seeing a lot of the old draft picks too. Some of the college prospects, Austin Brimmer and Mr. I'm gonna mess up his name because it was said wrong to me. Bennett Shimmick was also there, so they both got signed to contracts last year in the AHL. Gabriel Sherratt, and we want to make sure we get his name properly. Memorial Cup champion Gabriel Sherratt was there. We also had Wilson Bjork, who's the brother of Vigo Bjork, who got drafted this year. Braden Coots was there. It was great to see him. Kieran Dervin, Damian Gardner, Riley Patterson, who made the jump to the AHL last year, was there. Matthew Perkins, who seems like he's been developing for a little while. Anthony Romani, who has been playing really, really well in the NCAA, was there. And then they had Parker Alkos, who was playing in Kelowna this year out there. Aiden Celebrini, who's been playing at BU, so he will be going back to BU again. He'll be playing with Malhotra. He'll be playing with Aaron Molson. So you're actually going to have 3 Canucks prospects playing on that BU team next year. Basil Sansones, one of my favorite prospects. He's a Swiss guy. He plays on all the national teams now. He didn't play at the World Championship this year, but he's been playing men's league over there. He's a guy I could see at some point in the next couple of years making a transition to North America, maybe to play in the AHL, see if there's anything there. He is a very good, solid defensive defenseman. Nate Tivey, or Tivey, was an invite to camp. Doesn't have a contract. It was kind of like just to fill up a little bit of the defensive side of things. And then Alexei Medvedev, Anders Miller, and Niels Roberts Marins as the goaltenders there. So that's the whole list of the guys. It was very cool to be in the building to see these guys. And as I mentioned earlier, we talked about Aaron Olsen. Holy cow, Dustin. Every time he shot the puck, number one, he hit the net every time. And number two, anytime the goalie made the save, you know when those guys just have those hard, heavy shots, the slap that their shots make when they hit the pads. That was every single shot.
Different.
It was different, right?
Yeah.
I would say the only two, the top 3 shots in watching these prospects today, Aaron Olsen. No, it's got to be 4, I think. There was 4 guys who stood out with their shots. Caleb Malhotra had a wicked shot. Aaron Olsen had a wicked shot. Braden Coots he was clearly the best player out there. Like he was the best complete player out there. And Adam Novotny too. Those 4 players, every time they shot the puck, you could just hear it slapping the pads if they didn't score. Some beautiful bar downs, like that kind of thing. And either Riley Patterson, maybe not a Patterson, wrong one. He doesn't necessarily display the hardest shot, but very accurate shots, very agile out there. So it was kind of fun to see him too. Those were kind of the real big standouts. Brooks Dragowski was interesting because we do talk about how good of a skater he is with that 6'7" frame. I would say at this point, it's a very straight line skating ability. So he can get there. There were some of the drills where they were working on their agility where he in fact stumbled a little bit. So that's something he can work on. He's already got the frame built out. So I'm not too worried about it. But he did, like you said, it's very similar to Vilmar Augustin, 6'7", even taller than Vilmar Augustin. His hands were displayed out there, and he had some very nice moves and managed to get the puck out of his feet, that kind of thing, when there was a bad pass in there. So that was kind of fun as well. So those were the real standouts for today. And then, honestly, Aiden Celebrini, he probably, him and Parker Alkos was displaying a lot more offense than I thought he would be able to. And Aiden Celebrini was probably the most solid overall defenseman out there. He's probably one of the older guys out there now because he is entering his 4th year with the Boston University. But man, he looked very, very solid out there. His footwork looks like he's been working on that with his brother. RJ's been a really big influence. I mean, Macklin's been a really big influence on Aiden Celebrini. So those are kind of the...
Let's not talk about RJ yet. We'll talk about him. We'll talk about him at the end of the show when we talk about free agency.
And Shimmick looked really good too, right? Like all around, there was a lot of fun being had. There's so much discussing going into a dev camp. And if you want, you can go on the Canucks Twitter. You can go on their Instagram. You got the man, RJ, not RJ, the one we're going to talk about later. but RJ, Ryan Johnson, talking to these guys and be like, listen, we're not here to assess your play. Some of you guys haven't been skating, right? We don't want to mess up your schedules. We want to make sure that you guys get out here, have some fun, make some mistakes, get some time to start learning the development team, because that's what they're here for. This development team, Mike Komisarek, Alexander Edler made his debut today. He has already been interviewed, said he might be a part of this, but it looked like he was having fun out there. Maybe becomes a part of it. And then Samuelson as well out there, which was great for them to start to get to know guys. They had Justin Pogge on the ice with the goaltenders. So now that is the first viewing for these guys with these guys in person. They're going to start be able to develop plans for them to develop them into NHL players. So a lot of fun being had. And I'd say the most important thing for a camp like this is just about these guys getting to know each other, getting to develop friendships and relationships so that moving forward, as they grow with their hockey careers, they already have these guys to lean on and help each other out. So all around, a really fun day. Lots of cool drills, lots of good plays. The boys are patting each other on the butt. Good goal goes in, everyone's cheering, that kind of stuff. And they had Jen Gardner out there from the Vancouver Golden Knights, who I actually got to meet after the skate. So that was very cool to see her coming out. Had a quick chat with her, just saying that we're very excited to see what the Golden Knights can pull off this year. We're very interested to see how dominant they can be. And she was interviewed earlier talking about how, she got an offer from somewhere else and she turned it down essentially because she wants to bring a Walter Cup back home to Vancouver. So that would be very cool to see. So nice to meet her. Very, very cool individual. She stopped, chatted with the crowd a little bit. So it was very cool to see her. Was there anything from Dev Camp that you were wondering about with any of these prospects? But I think I've kind of covered it pretty well. I don't know if there was anything else.
No, I think you nailed it. It's great to hear a firsthand look at some of them for sure.
Mm-hmm.
It was nice. I was watching on and off
Mm-hmm.
while you were live there today. Sorry I couldn't make it out. Just had too much going on at home and had stuff I had to get done. But I know there was a lot of people worried about the whitewater rafting trip the first day of Dev Camp, and other teams are on the ice working hard and blah 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 blah. It's like it's a long summer, all right. These guys got plenty of time to train. One of the things I took from Ryan Johnson's interview about development camp, he wants these guys to learn what resources they have at their disposal. So it's learning the phone numbers of the development team. It's learning the phone numbers of people you can reach out to within the organization if you have questions about, your path at school or things like that, or anything you need really. You're learning to be a professional, and then you're learning to build relationships and bonds and whitewater rafting. There's just little tidbits, underlying notions, right? Like 5 to a raft. I imagine they split them up without, the prospects really knowing 3 forwards and 2 defensemen getting a raft, right? It's a line on a hockey team. So you need to communicate. You all need to be working together to keep the boat going the same direction. And that's the mantra of Malhotra, Coach Malhotra and Ryan Johnson, is everyone's going the same direction. Everyone is working towards a common goal. That's exactly what whitewater rafting is. If one person isn't doing their job, the rest of the team struggles and has to work harder to carry that extra weight. So everyone needs to work together for that common goal. And I think there's a lot more to something that some fans may have viewed as just going out and having fun. There's a lot more to it. The lessons that the guys will subconsciously learn from that type of trip is extremely beneficial. And, the Kaizen mindset that they talk about, the Japanese focus and I'm just very excited for how calm Manny Malhotra and Ryan Johnson are when they speak to us as fans and media. That they're speaking with that same calm, but also intensity. You can feel the intensity and the desire to win, right? It's burning inside these guys, but they also deliver such calm, well thought out, articulate answers, and it's so refreshing. And to know that that's what our prospects are getting makes me so freaking relieved, man. Just to know the communication to our players is going to be that much better will immediately translate onto the ice that much better. And it will force these guys to work that much harder. Not because they want to, just because subconsciously they're programmed to, because of what they're learning at this early stage. So I love what's happening with development camp. I wish I could get out to the scrimmage tomorrow. Hopefully they have it on live on their socials or something so we could watch it from home, because that will be fun to watch. But it's also really, you know, what was really exciting to hear was you talk about Parker Alcos and Aiden Celebrini, a couple of guys who, you know, don't get a lot of chatter, and that obviously we know about Aiden Celebrini because he is the older brother of one Macklin Celebrini.
Yeah.
I think he just wants to get his degree done. And that's probably the mandate is given his agent. I think the Canucks have probably reached out to him before this year to be like, hey, you want to sign your pro contract? No, I'm good. I'll stay at the NCAA. So he keeps coming to the development camps because he can't come to main camp. That's why we haven't seen him. But I think he will be a very solid defensive defenseman when he does sign his entry-level contract, probably at the end of this this university year. Yep. Because as soon as the university year is done for him, he's probably done whatever degree he's working on after 4 years. I don't see the team using an extra year spot on him. They likely use that on players that are more on the forward side that add more offense and things like that. So he probably signs his contract, heads to Abbotsford to finish out the season if his NCAA team isn't playing in the playoffs. And we will get a chance to see him at the pro level and see what he has to bring, because, you know, I think he's probably got what it takes to be a third line defenseman, right? Like a 6 or a 5 or 6 guy.
Mm-hmm.
And stay at home guy that can penalty kill and can get the puck out of the zone. Well, you know, that's kind of what he is. And so there are some extra defensive prospects in the cabinet. And so I know a lot of, I wanted to talk about that. It's relieving for you to say those things, because I know some fans were worried that we didn't really go after defensemen in the first round when there were some pretty high rated defensive prospects at 3. We just are kind of flush with them. So next year we can maybe start adding a couple more defensive prospects to the pool, but we really did need to find some more forwards with size and some shooting ability that are more inclined to get to the middle, because we do have a sickness of perimeter players. We need some guys that are determined to get to the middle of the ice, and that, to me, is what they went after in this draft.
The other thing I'll say about this dev camp and the Canucks drafting since when Jim Benning left the organization, we're looking through. So players who were not at development camp today that have been drafted since 2022. And this is all Todd Harvey, because there have been a lot of people that have been feeling a little scared about what Todd Harvey's going to do for this organization. Kirill Kudryavtsev was not at dev camp. That's because he's playing professionally now. Ty Young, not there, playing professionally. Damian Gardner was there. Elias Pettersson was not there. He's playing professionally. Jonathan Lekermacki was playing professionally. That is their 2022 draft class. Jack Dorrington was the only one from that class that was not there for other reasons. Aiden Celebrini was there. Matthew Perkins was there. Vilmar Oakson, not there because he was playing professionally. Ty Mueller, professional. Sawyer Minio, professional. Hunter Brushinevich, traded. Tom Violander, professional, right? That's the two furthest away, 22-23. Melvin Fernstrom, traded. Riley Patterson, Anthony Romani, Parker Alcos, Basil Sansonos. That's 4 of their 5 picks from 2024. All
might make the jump to the AHL this year.
Exactly. Braden Coots, Alexei Medvedev, Kieran Dervin, Wilson Bjork, Gabriel Sharp, Matthew Lansing. So Matthew Lansing wasn't there. he's going to be playing down in the NCAA again. He is doing very, very well down there. Don't know why he wasn't there. But again, another draft run by Todd Harvey. You had a representation of 5 of their 6 picks at this development camp. So you're looking at a team that over the last 4 years, and now up to this one with the 5th year with Todd Harvey, you have all these players that are all developing, that are all being put on the right path, and the pipeline have begun to get filled. As much as we want to poop on what the Canucks have been doing and all the shit show that's been happening in the behind the scenes, Todd Harvey has been working his butt off, and now we can see the fruits of that labor as these players slowly make their way into working up their way to the AHL, and some of these guys are already playing NHL games. So it's very good to see that after some really dry years, like you said, the 2021 draft, Klimovich, Koska and Vivo is still in the system, but has not played an NHL game yet. He's a little bit far off that. Murenberg, Gabrielson, Lockhart, and Forzo are all that draft before. So it was 0 NHL games after that, and that was the last Jim Benning one. So things are turning in the proper direction here for the Vancouver Canucks.
Well, and that's why Jim Rutherford said, we're not at the very beginning of a rebuild, right? Like, we are rebuilding. Mm-hmm. We're doing it the right way now. We're on the right path of building draft capital and shipping out some veterans. I mean, we have some actual legitimate cap space for the first time in forever. Mm-hmm. And you can still fill out an NHL roster with who we have 23 NHL contracts signed. So there you go. You can do it, and you can put together a roster with all these people. So it's exciting stuff. But yeah, like you said, with that history that Todd Harvey has shown, that's why I'm weirdly confident about this year's draft and seeing some of these guys be put on the right development path. And suddenly we have, 8 guys from one draft year that are NHL players. And it's like, what the heck? How did that happen? Well, you hired the right guys at the right time to take over the reins and let the right guys make the picks. And listen to your staff, listen to your analytics department, get them involved more with the scouting department, and come together and find a common ground where you can feel more confident in these picks and also have a distinct vision of what you want your team to be. And everyone's an individual person. They're filling out. Yes, all these guys have big motors and blah, 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 but they all have specific tools that will fill out an entire NHL roster. And that's the exciting part when you really dig into the prospects. And, some of us Russian cashew munchers aren't that panicky about everything that's going on because our leader has made us a prospect junkie, and that's all we do now is dig into the prospects and watch the AHL team and have a good handle on what's going on down there. And I'm excited, man.
You know what did make me panic a little bit though, Dustin?
Pardon?
You know what did make me panic a little bit, Dustin?
Does it have to do with a Höglander trade or what else are we talking about?
Oh, Niels big hog Höglander. That's where we'll start off, because there have been a lot of transactions. We broke the Chase Wilder signing, so that was kind of one thing that happened. We talked about the Toronto Maple Leafs flopping picks with the Canucks, so the Canucks ended up getting the 5th round pick in the 2027 draft, which originally came from Ottawa, so it might end up being a good one, especially they blow up. And then on June 29th, the Nashville Predators acquired Niels Big Hog Höglander for a 2029 3rd round draft pick from the Colorado Avalanche, which might end up being a good one too, because I feel like Colorado's about to blow up. But nevertheless, Niels Big Hog Höglander, no longer a member of the Vancouver Canucks. Dustin, what are you going to miss about him? And what are you excited for him moving over to Nashville?
Well, I think over in Nashville, he gets a chance to be, a 3rd line winger. right, and just do that role. Here they tried to force him into a top 6 role. Yeah, he got the 24 goals. Then ran into some injury issues, but also with the injury issues came no production. Um, and there are guys that still produced under the poor coaching and that find a way to get goals. I think it was time for him for a change of scenery. Obviously, a beloved teammate with the number of social media shout outs on stories we saw from fellow teammates. But a good recovery of a draft pick in 2029 that could be used in another trade down the line. Um, it likely doesn't get picked by the Canucks. They likely use that in some capacity before we get there, but that's fine. I'm okay with it. It was a good way to also free up room for some of the younger guys that fit a Höglander style player, that have a little bit more desire to play in the to push themselves. Let's face it, the knock on Höglander has always been he doesn't really go the extra mile in training, and it feels that way, right? Like when he came back from injury, normally guys are excited to get out there. They kind of are shot out of a rocket. He took a long time to get his game back and then never really found it. And so I think it's just best that both sides went their separate ways. He was also one of the easy ones to trade because he didn't have any no move clause protection or anything like that. So an easy way to move out cap space and just retain some draft capital and let a guy have a chance at playing in the NHL.
Another Canucks legend being traded out of this team, future considerations being shipped off to the Montreal Canadiens for Vancouver legend, but a Vancouver Giants legend and longtime Montreal Canadian, Brendan Gallagher, coming home. He's going to be playing on this Vancouver Canucks team. He said as much at his end of year press conference when he was chatting with the media over in Montreal. And on top of all that, 50% retained salary. So the key thing I always wanted to point out for people on that is, so the Canucks are going to be paying Brendan Gallagher half of his salary, so it'll be around $3 million. If, in fact, he can regain some of his worth, as he didn't get a lot of playing time in the lineup for Montreal during the playoffs last year, he's got to show the NHL that he can do something. And if that happens, suddenly at this year's trade deadline, boom, the Canucks can also retain 50% of that salary because it is a 70-day wait period to do a double retainment on a player. But that means we've had the time. Brendan Gallagher could be had by any contending team for about $1.5 million at the deadline. So the Canucks could have easily turned this legend future considerations into some kind of draft pick, depending on what happens with Brendan Gallagher. But on top of all of that, besides the amazing ability of Ryan Johnson to get this done without having to give anything away, they also get a guy who is known around the league as a character guy who works his butt off, will show these young guys what it means to be a member of the NHL, and as well has no problem mucking it up. How many times have we seen this man under a goalie getting into the nonsense? So it's one of those things where you see Höglander go out and you see Brendan Gallagher go in. So there's a very similar playing style for these two players. So Brendan Gallagher coming to Vancouver Canucks. Are you excited about this? Are you a little bit worried about bringing old guys, or how are you feeling, Dustin?
I feel a lot better about bringing Brendan Gallagher to this team than I do about Evander Kane. Let's be clear. This is a guy who wants to come here and fix the Vancouver Canucks. Despite being a Montreal Canadian, this guy's heart lives in Vancouver. I'm sure in 2011, he was just as heartbroken as the rest of us that Vancouver didn't bring it home. And to see the organization that he grew up cheering for fall to where it has to sting. And at the juncture he is in his career, coming home means something to him different than it meant to Evander Kane. And to get him at the price they're getting him for only 1 year, if they decide to keep him all the way to the end of the year, and let's be real, they may not flip him at the deadline.
Yeah.
He's the type of guy you probably want here for the entire season, and maybe they re-sign him for like $1 million for 2 more years at the end of the year when they can extend him, or whenever they can extend him. They might do it halfway through the season, because he wants to be part of the solution, and that's really exciting to hear. Hearing him talk in his interview after the trade was done, you can hear the excitement in his voice, and it's very different than when Evander Kane came. And this is a guy who has a history of being incredible in the locker room, on and off the ice, incredible in the community. So absolutely the type of veteran you want to come and help guide the new young Canucks forward with this new culture. And yeah, great trade by Ryan Johnson, and probably one of the worst kept secrets ever.
Well, it just, I mean, not to toot
Gallagher, it's on Gallagher himself,
yeah,
really.
But I mean, not to toot Montreal's horn too much, but they did right by this guy, right? You can tell that.
Oh,
Hughes,
100%.
Who's running Montreal, did right by a guy who was an absolute legend over there in Montreal, who has bled all over that ice down there in Montreal. So did right by him and sent him to a place where he wanted to go. So this was as much for Gallagher, but it just ends up being a good fit. And not to harp too much on it, but we do it a lot on this show. The juxtaposition, like you said, Evander Kane, Gallagher. Evander Kane traded to the division rival of the Edmonton Oilers for a 4th round pick that we got for Podkolzin, right? And then the difference is we literally got Gallagher for nothing. So different situations, but at the end of the day, that is the difference between one Patrick Alvin and one Ryan Johnson. So far, great stuff. And that is the second trade, obviously, in Ryan Johnson's tenure. So 2 for 2, I would say, on the trades, because good stuff there. An AHL, NHL signing came after that on June 30th. A legend down there in Abbotsford who was a big part of the Calder Cup run. Veteran defenseman, Guillaume Brisebois, getting signed to a fat contract. So if he's playing in the NHL, it will be a $900,000 deal. If he is playing down in the AHL, he's still making, I think, $325,000 down there in the AHL. So a nice payday for a guy who has bled for the Abbey Canucks, and we're really glad to see him back. And he did look really good to finish the year after being injured for pretty much the entire season after that Calder Cup run. So another depth signing as a veteran guy who will be able to work with all the young defensemen who will be developing down in Abbotsford next year.
Yeah, like I was going to say, one of the big things about your farm team is you still need veterans down there.
Mm-hmm.
You can't just have a bunch of prospects. You still need an old guy. Like even in Utica, I think Ryan Johnson was a big part of bringing Mike Keane in when they were over there. Or no, sorry, not Mike Keane. That was way back in Manitoba. But they also had similar older guys over in Utica, right? That Ryan Johnson brought in. And then having someone like Guillaume Brisebois is key to how many young defensive prospects we have, especially after he moved Jet Wu out last year. But you have to have guys like that, like old dogs. And he's also injury protection. He's injury installation because he can play at the NHL level if you need him to, but you cross your fingers that you don't really need to. They've kind of filled that out now. You can call up the young guys instead. But definitely a great guy to have in the AHL. Has never complained about playing down in the minors, and just does his job every night, works his butt off every night, and exactly the type of player that Ryan Johnson loves. So really good work here between both Rich Seeley and Ryan Johnson, agreeing that Guillaume Brisebois was a player that they wanted to continue within the organization.
So it was a bit quiet for July 1st for the Canucks to start off, but as I was getting into the arena at the Rogers Forum out in Abbotsford, Paul Cotter has been signed by the Canucks here on July 1st, a 1-year deal, $2.150 0-0-0. I don't know why I did the zeros for the Canucks. He was playing in New Jersey last year. He is a 1999 baby, so he's not that old. He's still quite a young guy. Shoots left. Let's go with the theme of the draft. 6'2", 213 pounds. A guy I think feels like he hasn't managed to get a fair shake in the NHL. Hasn't really showed what he has got. So I absolutely love that it is yet again another one-year deal brought onto this team for a guy that needs to prove that he deserves to be in this league. And yet again, like you said about Brendan Gallagher, they might not trade him. Same thing with Paul Cotter. You know, he might prove himself. They might re-sign him. But at the same time, maybe you see him become another asset. But having said that, like, I think we're probably leaning more towards keeping him because RJ seems to be a big fan and said that he has been following his career for a long time. Paul Cotter, good signing for the Canucks as another depth guy, probably a fourth liner, but a good depth guy to play on the left wing for this Canucks team.
Yeah, and I think if fans want a better look at what Cotter is, look back to when he was with the Golden Knights. You will see some very nice highlights from one Paul Cotter, a victim of aging out of the Golden Knights organization because he became an RFA that would have been too expensive to sign because they like to cap themselves out. And, you know, just one of those prospects they had to trade away who had promise at the NHL level, ended up with the New Jersey Devils. And I like that the Canucks are taking a chance with him on a one-year deal here because he is a great third or fourth line left winger. Third line, probably I'd put him on because of his size and his ability to finish. So just exciting stuff. A tidy signing there to give a guy a chance who might be hungry to prove himself.
Another guy who we're like very excited to see back for his third time as a member of the Vancouver Canucks. Luke Schenn re-signs with the Canucks. 1 year, $2.25 million. Another 1 year deal. Tidy work once again from RJ. He's one of the tidiest people that I think I've ever met. But Luke Schenn, very similar to the Gallagher signing, the Gallagher trade. It is a character guy who's going to come in, work his butt off, and he has seen absolutely everything. He credits RJ for helping him get his career back on track after he ended up in Utica, worked his way back up to the NHL to play for the Canucks, was actually a huge part of one Quit Hughes's development into becoming the defenseman that he is today. So would be great to see what he can pull off. And this is the kind of guy who you're not going to see here and complain. He could be the 6'7" defenseman moving forward with probably 3 or 4 young guys that are going to be playing for the Canucks. 6'7". But Luke Schenn, how stoked were you when you saw the news come down that this man's coming home?
I was more excited that this man got a full no movement clause.
Yeah.
Because he wants to be here. The love he showed for Vancouver in his interview after signing, that is a guy that I want in my locker room every night. I was devastated when he left the last time. I think a big part of our locker room issues were because he was gone. Everyone's seen the clip of the shouting match between him and JT Miller on the ice. And then, you know, Nomi Garland stepping in and protecting JT. Little boys stick together. So yeah, it's just, I think he was a big thing. He was a big part of keeping that room together for that year that everyone had career highs. I think Bruce probably leaned on him a lot, Boudreau, for help with the, with leading without being a official alternate or anything like that. So yeah, I mean, they got their veteran leadership on the blue line now, and they got their veteran character leadership on for the forwards, and I think it's great. It's perfect. They're two guys that have never had I mean, Luke Schenn's lived out of a suitcase his entire NHL career. He's played for 13 NHL teams and the Canucks 3 times. So I don't even know how many it is. Like I just threw 13 out there, but it's got to be close to 13. It's probably 10. It's probably double digits. This guy's played for everybody, but never once complained. Always worked hard, worked his way back to an NHL career and a valuable NHL piece. Being a veteran guy who will protect the young players. That's the other thing now. We have a guy who will throw the gloves on the ice and go after anybody who tries to go after a Booyam or a Vilander or a DP. I mean, DPD's starting to handle his own now. And I'm sure him and Vilander, their little fight club, will have a Shen Daddy to show them how to actually do it. So that'll be exciting to see some clips of those guys trying that out now.
10 teams drafted by the Toronto Maple Leafs, a high draft pick.
There you go, double
overall.
digits.
So Toronto Maple Leafs, count along with me, people. Philadelphia Flyers, Los Angeles Kings, Arizona Coyotes, Anaheim Ducks, Vancouver Canucks for the first time, Tampa Bay Lightning. He went back to the Toronto Maple Leafs again, too. Nashville Predators, Winnipeg Jets, Buffalo Sabres. So that is 5 teams. He also has had multiple stints with multiple teams, right? And then throw into the mix there, you also have the San Diego Gulls he was playing for, and the Utica Comets, the Syracuse Crunch. So 3 AHL teams along the way as well. So he has seen it all, and that is great to have that kind of experience around for the young guys. Very good to see Luke Shen back in the fold. Akil Thompson, another 2-way deal signed. I think Richard Seeley's fingerprints are all over this one, as he is a prospect from the LA Kings organization. He is going to be playing most likely in Abbotsford, but he is somebody who might see some time up the NHL if there's some kind of injuries. I think he's most famous for scoring, I believe it was the game-winning goal in the 2020 World Juniors, if I'm right, Dustin. Is that right? I think.
Yeah, the diving play into the crease there where he scored the goal there.
Yeah.
I can see it in my brain in the black jersey, I think, with the red maple leaf.
Yeah. So again, another thing where, I mean, we talked about it a lot on this channel and this YouTube channel, and then the podcast, the amount of injuries that were sustained by the Abbey Canucks. They had 300 plus man games lost. So we get another 6-foot guy, 194 pounds, another right shot coming in. He can play center. He can play the wing. He's one of those guys who skates well. He can play on the PP. He's got puck skills. He's got vision. So these are all good signs. Has been playing in between the Los Angeles Kings and the Ontario Reign for the most part. But yeah, another tidy piece of work, getting another 2-way contract done with Canadian legend Akil Thomas.
Yeah, there you go.
Right after Akil Thomas was signed, Trey Fix-Wilansky, which is one of the greatest names that I have ever heard.
Yeah.
Dude, this
Add
is
it
the thing
to
I
the
couldn't
name
believe.
book.
5'7", 194 pounds. How is this guy 5'7", 194 pounds?
Thick boy.
Yeah. Saw a little time with Columbus. Has been playing in and out of Columbus and the Cleveland Monsters. Most recently, he was with the Hartford Wolf Pack. So another 2-way contract. So another piece that will be able to insulate some of the younger players that we're going to be playing down there. And another right-hand shot. But I just can't get over the compact package. 5'7", 194 pounds. He's a goddamn bowling ball out there.
Well, 121 penalty minutes last year for Hartford Wolfpack.
Yeah.
So you know exactly why he's in Abbotsford. He's there to protect Braden Coots, Riley Patterson, Gabe Sherratt, all Anthony Romani.
Mm-hmm.
So all these young guys that we got that are going to be making the jump this year to be like young wingers, they need somebody. Chase Wouters has dropped the gloves too many goddamn times. He'll do it, but it's nice to have a big, thick boy who will do it as well.
Well, I mean, you mentioned Chase Wouters. How much money did the Johnny Canuck mascot have to pay? Like, was it a Rolex he gave? He's wearing number 21. Can you believe that? He took the captain's number.
How dare he?
So
I think that has more to. I think that has more to do with the year that the Abbotsford was established as an organization.
correct. So
Just so our fans don't freak out, let's tell them why why he's really
real. We're just
wearing the number
joshing.
21. Yeah.
So these two things were kind of interchanging over the course. It was very weird to see how it went, but somehow another deal. Like, goddamn, can Ryan Johnson do my laundry or something like that? Because it would be the best looking folded laundry because of how tidy it would be. The New York Rangers getting fleeced, taking Marcus Pettersson for a first round pick. And now, having said that, it is 2030, but at the end of the day, the New York Rangers is one of those teams. I feel like they're on the precipice of being an absolute disaster with the way that Chris Drury has been running it lately. So it is a first round pick, top 10 protected. So if they do bottom out that year somehow and decide they don't want to give it up, then the Canucks get an unprotected 2031 draft pick. And the reason that I do like this, it's looking to the future. It's an investment. So now
it's absolutely an investment
picks.
in. Oh, for sure. You recouped the first round pick you gave up to get him, essentially. In a year where one RJ Celebrini is the projected first overall. You heard it here first. But so yeah, I mean, before we talk about the Rangers, I just want to say, how bad do we feel right now for JT Miller, who demanded to only go to New York to be with his best buddy, Vinny Trocheck, and only to have Chris Drury turn around and ship his best buddy to Utah. Just thoughts and prayers to JT Miller. We're sending you Marcus Pettersson as our condolences to help be a shoulder to cry on. So there you go. You can have Marcus Pettersson back because I'm sure you'll miss your best friend who you demanded to go back to live with. So enjoy sucking next year.
Miller's just happy which Pettersson they got. We are down to 2 Petterssons now. So if Riley Patterson joins the team, it'll still be confusing, but maybe a little less as there is now.
Yeah, but I mean, they're both still Elias and Elias.
No, still fair. Trust me. So we love that one. So first round pick. The funny thing about a day like today is the Canucks have actually done a really, really good job of not having things being leaked. So eventually, at some point, it does get out. I'm just going to assume that it got leaked by the New York side. But the Canucks did an incredible job of not having anything leaked about what the contents of the trade were until it was made official. So it took a while, but eventually everyone found out it was a first round pick, and we're all laughing. I feel bad for Eck because I believe his favorite team is the Rangers, and it is going to be a disaster over there.
Yeah, they're not headed the right way.
So the replacement immediately, and I will pat myself on the back for this one because I've been chatting with some people. Jamie Alexiak was a guy who I thought would be a great player to come in to this team, signed to a much higher cost than he would probably get. He was probably due for a payday of like 3.5. Canucks signed Jamie Alexiak to a 2-year contract, $5 million a year. So Jamie Alexiak coming from the Seattle Kraken up highway, the I-5 to Vancouver, another tidy deal, only 2 years. A guy that is going to come in and insulate this young defense. What do you like about this guy coming into the Vancouver lineup?
I like that it gives us a veteran on every line. And I like that he's the one who has the trade value, right? Like he has a modified no trade clause, so he can give a number of teams. Let's see here. I believe it's 12 team no trade list.
Yep.
So that still allows you 29 teams to choose from. So that's a pretty big pool. And he's the type of guy, given a little more minutes, probably going to play in a 4 role here in Vancouver, could up his value to the point where with the rising cap, $5 million for a veteran guy that is good at playing left and right side, can penalty kill, can eat some minutes for you late in the game, is very responsible with the puck in his own end, doesn't make a lot of mistakes with it. That stay-at-home defensive guy, it's great. I think it was a very, very smart use of, I mean, we have the cap space, why not use it? And this is the type of thing, like not overcommitting, right? 2 years. Perfect. Mwah. I love it.
And he's 6'7" and
Yes, he's a big boy.
250 pounds.
Yep.
Big boy.
Big Canadian boy.
Yep. You'll love to see that. Maybe he will be the new Tyler Myers, because we know how much the Seattle Kraken used to hate Tyler Myers. Now they will have to hate their own player that they have sent up to play.
There you go.
They didn't send him. We stole him away, but you'll love to see it either way. They call him the big rig, and with
yes,
for obvious reasons. 6'7", 252 pounds, which is absolutely crazy. So those are the kind of the big storylines. One last thing that came down at the very end of the day. No, that's just the signing for Thomas. So Thomas and Fix-Wolanski also got their contract. So those were all they were announced as 2-way deals. At first, it was just announced as 1-year deals, but they've both been announced as 2-way deals. So overall, Dustin, Vancouver Canucks, after being taken over by Ryan Johnson, have been doing some tidy work, because you're looking at going all the way back. I'll quickly just run through everything. So Ilya Savanov, which they got for future consideration, signed. Jack Thompson, who they traded for to fill in last year, played really well in the AHL, signed. Is a guy who could come up and play as well in the NHL if needed. Cole Clayton, big Alberta boy, signed in the AHL, signed again for a 1-year contract. Chase Waters, the captain of your Calder Cup winning Abbotsford Canucks, signed again. Fat deal for him. He's going to be making lots of money, which you love to see. Canucks trade their 6th-round pick, because they had 3 6th-round picks this year, to Toronto, got a 5th-round pick for next year. So that puts them up to next year having 10 picks again for the next year, which is great to see. Trade out Niels Big Hog Hoglander for a 3rd-round pick, adding more draft capital. Brendan Gallagher comes in for nothing. Breezewell re-signed. Paul Cotter signed. Big boy, 1 year. Luke Shen, Papa Luke Shen coming back in, 1-year deal. Akil Thomas coming in, more insulation for down in the AHL, 1-year deal. Trey Fix-Wolanski, 1-year deal, 2-way contract. Marcus Pettersson trade for a 1st-round pick, which is crazy. And then Jamie Alexiak getting signed to a nice, tidy contract, again, 2 years. So out of all the transactions that we have seen from Ryan Johnson, they were all 1-year or 2-year contracts. In fact, there was only one 2-year contract that has been signed by anyone. So he is setting this team up to be moving into this amazing rebuild that they have, I think, been doing a fantastic job of getting the start to this, while continuing on the work that had already been done. As much as you want to say anything about the previous regime, they are continuing to work hard, because as it sits now, I can even show you guys. So the Canucks next year, like I said, they've got 10 picks. They've got a 1st round, 2 2nd rounds, 3rd round, 2 4th rounds, 2 5th rounds, a 6th and a 7th. And then the next year, again, they've got 9 picks. The year after that, they've got 9 picks. And the year after that, including that 1st round pick they just got from the Rangers, they are now up to 8 picks for the 2030 draft as well. So the Canucks are absolutely stacking up the draft picks, stacking up character, stacking up height and speed and velocity and tenacity. And that is everything you want to see from this team that, despite the fact that I don't think they'll be as bad as everyone thinks they are going to be next year, they are without a doubt going to be much harder to play against when they're stepping into Rogers Arena. I think, is this crazy to say that they'll have more wins on home ice than they did this year? Is that crazy? Am I crazy?
Hope so. God, I hope they do. Jesus, it's not that hard.
The bar has been set low. Oh.
And we still await, like, obviously after all the moves that have happened, a pretty weak free agent class.
Mm-hmm.
We await to see what happens with one Jake DeBrusk.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, 20 guaranteed goals at a $5 billion cap hit or whatever he's making. 5.25, is that what he is?
Yep.
Let me see. you know, that a lot of teams will take that in a pretty weak year, right? So we'll see if anyone starts ringing Johnson's phone
Sorry, he's
after free
5.5.
agency is
I
done now.
lied to you.
Or 5.5, yeah. So, I mean, still good value there with the rising cap. And I know there's plenty of media and fans trying to fabricate an Elias Pettersson trade. And I know there's analysts saying his name is out there. His name is out there. Canucks are willing to retain. And it's like, well, yeah, sort of. If you blow our socks off with a return, yeah, we'll be willing to retain. But of course, Ryan Johnson's going to say that to anyone who phones and is like, oh, how much will you retain? It's like, well, you come back with this, this, and this. And then it's probably like crickets, right? Like the asking price is probably pretty high for a guy who, in a rising cap era, has proven that he can get to 100 points in the NHL. When he gets a change of scenery, would likely explode. If you look at all the contracts that were signed today, 5 more years of 11.6 is much more palatable than, say, 4 years at whatever Jake Trouba signed for, 8.25, right? Like, when you look at it, that's why when there was early panic about the Pettersson contract, I didn't panic because this is where we were headed. Vast overpayments for players that don't really deserve vast overpayments, but because the cap space is there in a rising cap era, this is what happens. You know, I think we're in good shape now headed into this offseason. I think there's a couple more things that they need to tidy up. Jake DeBrusk being one of them. Mm-hmm. Really find out if he wants to be here, and if he doesn't, then you find the best deal for him. And you bring it to his agent and hopefully get him a change of scenery. And then who knows what that brings in return, because that could bring a roster player, a young roster player with potential in return. You know, you go after a cap strap team that needs to offload maybe a higher paid player. Who knows? So who knows what could happen?
I agree with you. I think RJ's sitting around waiting to see who brings him up, because there is not a lot available on this free agent market. So it'll be interesting to see what kind of I think the Canucks might end up getting like a first round pick and a prospect for Jake DeBrusk. I think it'll probably end up being one of those guys who's a bit more of a project prospect, but I think a first round pick will be coming back for Jake DeBrusk. They're being too patient, and somebody's going to get desperate because the amount of money, I think they were verging on being $1 billion flying out today for free agency. It should be interesting to see.
Yeah, I saw it. So far, it's like $946 million thrown out there.
Yeah. Yeah, it's up to 390,830 according to Puckpedia right now. As of we're recording this
and only 164 contracts. That's nuts.
Yeah. Bowen. Okay, so there's so much to talk about, like Bowen Byram, Nico Hischier, Demidov.
Oh man, Bowen Byram makes PD look like a goddamn steal. Yeah. $12.5 million for Bowen Byram. Are you kidding me?
Hischier at 11.7 for Canucks fans. That'll mean a lot.
66 points.
Yep. So we do not have time. I've just realized Dobby hasn't been fed yet. He's going to start eating my leg here. So the last thing I want you to do, Dustin, because
much to cover.
We have so much. So we're going to save that for next week. We're going to have our breakdown of what we think about some of these contracts. We'll have some time to marinate, because like we said off the bat, this was like drinking out of a fire hose today with everything that was going on. It felt more like a trade deadline at times than it did like a free agency day. So we're going to have to go through. We'll get our thoughts together. So we'll get that information. But I know you did get a lineup for the Canucks together as of what the roster is looking like right now. So Dustin, if you want to let the viewers and the listeners know, as of right now, are you including Jake DeBrusk in this, or have you kicked him off the team yet?
I have moved him off the team.
Okay, so barring Jake DeBrusk somehow deciding that he does want to catch some rebuilding time rather than Pokemon, what is this? What What does your lineup look like going for the Canucks into the new season, the 26-27 season?
It's really not that bad. Like, this is legitimately a competitive lineup under the right coaching and the right system. This team is, a bubble team.
Mhm.
They could be competing for a wild card spot. It could also be horrible, but they won't be. Fans will be pleasantly surprised. So I have Jonathan Lecker-Mackey doing the work after his shoulder surgery and making this team out of camp. So I have our first line is Ogren, Petey, Lecker-Mackey. I think Ogren and his board work, the way he can free up pucks for Petey and free up space for Petey to work around the perimeter and be a perimeter playmaker is great. It allows Lecker-Mackey to use his strength of getting to the middle and being a shooter guy to give Pettersson a target to pass to. But Lecker-Mackey also has passing ability, and so does Ogren. And so if Pettersson is on the rush, then they can get the puck to him and he can score more off the rush. So I actually think that it'd be a pretty good line. Then you have Drew O'Connor, Marco Rossi, and Brock Besser as your second line. I think Drew O'Connor has proven that he has the ability to play in a top six role. I think the system last year worked against him, and he still was able to perform well offensively. And I was quite impressed with the leap he took as an NHL player last year. So you got Rossi up the middle, easy second line center choice, and then Besser, right, your second line winger. Sasson, Hedel, and Carlson as my third line, because Hedel's still, if he's gonna play, that's where he is in the depth chart. But I don't know what they do with Hedel, to be honest. If he ends up on long-term injury reserve, I have Riley Patterson making the team as the extra center. So, because I like Sasson better on the wing. So I think that'd be a good third line. Then our fourth line, you got Atu Ratu up the middle, you got Paul Cotter, and then you got Brendan Gallagher. I think that's a hell of a fourth line in an NHL. A lot of guys with size, except for Gallagher. But Gallagher plays that checker role and tough to play against. He plays hard. Then our defense, you got Buyum and Hronik. You got Alexiak and Vilander. And you got DPD and Luke Shen. And then as your extra defenseman, you still have Victor Mancini, who will probably develop better back with Malholtra's system. He was great in Abbotsford. And then anytime he came up, he floundered under Foot's system because he had no idea what he was supposed to do. You want me to cross-check this guy and not take the stick? I'm so lost. Then Ty Mueller and Riley Patterson as the extra players.
So let's just review here. I've been making it up on Puckpedia as we go. I have it. So it's Liam Ogren with Pettersson and Lecker-Mackey as your top line. Got Marco Rossi with Drew O'Connor and Brock Besser. You got Philip Hedel playing with Max Sesson and Linus Carlson, barring some kind of injury to Hedel. And then Atu with Paul Cotter and Brendan Gallagher. Obviously, Atu could easily move up and play that third spot as well, depending on what Philip Hedel's health status is. And then Zeev Buyum with Phil Hronik, Jamie Alexiak with Tom Vilander, and Elias Pettersson with Luke Shen, with the extra defenseman being Mancini. And then you had the extra forwards, and you had them as Mueller and
Riley Patterson for now, but it could end up being Vilmer Ulrichsen if he comes into camp and shows some growth there, because I'd love to have Vilmer Ulrichsen up with the NHL with that size. And especially he made some big strides last year working with Jujhar Khaira. So I don't know what's going to happen there. We also have like Kirill Kudryavtsev, who could push for the NHL extra spot and push Mancini back down to the AHL. There's some bubble questions, obviously, but I think right now, after the moves they've made so far, obviously this is crystal balling it, but this looks like where everyone would kind of slot in, given the assets they have and the fact that DeBrusk likely doesn't want to be here. If DeBrusk does want to be a part of it, he's probably with Rossi, and then you probably move Besser out of there. because then that just wouldn't work, right? Like these guys are going to see that Besser and DeBrusque can't be on the same line. So you probably, well, maybe you move DeBrusque to the top line. You got Doc down to the third.
That was just fine too.
I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we'll have to keep our eyes open.
Right, there's lots of options, but the big thing is whatever happens with DeBrusque, right?
Yeah, and Hedel, obviously once the season gets
and Hedel, obviously.
And then I mean the wild card for everyone is Thatcher Demko stays healthy. Knock on wood. Like we're all hoping for it. He is an absolute game changer too. So if Thatcher Demko stays healthy, this team could be a bubble playoff team, which might piss off a lot of this fan.
By all accounts, this is the right surgery to fix all his ailments.
Yeah. Dustin, I appreciate you coming in and breaking down everything Canucks. That's all we could get through today. So we'll save our thoughts on all the craziness from all the other trades, all the other signings, all that stuff we'll break down on episode 6 of the Nothing is Perfect podcast. I appreciate you stopping by. Is there anything you wanted to say to the viewers and the listeners before I let you go?
Well, I just want to say to Ryan Johnson, take it easy for the next week so we can talk about the rest of the league next Wednesday. No, honestly, if he keeps cooking, man, he makes Chef Alvin look like a McDonald's cook. So great stuff so far. Thank you all for listening. As always, we are getting so close to 2,400 subscribers on YouTube. We are at 23.95. So thank you all for that support. Wherever you're listening, thank you on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, all the other ones that I don't know because there's a million of them now. Russ, thank you. And I hope everyone has a great week. We will keep you up to date on these Canucks, obviously, as these things happen. But as always, thank you for being the best chat on YouTube and the best fans out there. We wouldn't be doing this without you. And until next time, have a great one.
Yep. I'm Russell Holiday. That was Dustin Boydell. This is the Nothing is Perfect podcast. Thank you for listening. And remember to make good choices.
Nothing is perfect.